What if I told you that scientists have discovered a molecule that doubles the lifespan of mammals and powerful forces are desperately trying to hide it from you? Well, tonight's guests, they've risked everything to bring this Nobel Prize-winning discovery to the public. Chris Burres, the scientist who first delivered carbon nanomaterials to the market, made a shocking discovery. One of his chemicals, researched by NASA, could significantly extend mammalian lifespan. But it's Patty Greer, her story, that will leave you speechless. An award-winning documentary filmmaker who exposed hidden truths. And she barely survived two near-death experiences after the industry was infiltrated. Now, she believes the very molecule that we're discussing tonight, ESS60, is the reason that she is alive. And together, they created C60 Evo to bring this suppressed breakthrough to those who need it most. Now, Chris and Patty, welcome to the program.
Thank you so much, guys.
It's great to have you guys back. Now, Chris, you discovered that ESS60, it doubles the lifespan of mammals. Can you walk us through the moment that you realized what you had in your lab and why you struggled with the moral implications of it?
Yeah, absolutely. So we've been manufacturing this molecule since 1991. We're the oldest and longest manufacturer of this molecule. We call the molecule ESS60. Got a little model of it here. Looks like a soccer ball. And that molecule, they actually thought the molecule would be toxic because there's the shape of benzene on the exterior of that soccer ball cage. And there's 20 of them, actually. And benzene is very important in our society. It's the foundational molecule for plastics. But there's 20 of these rings on the exterior of this cage. And so they thought the molecule would be toxic. They put that molecule in a toxicity study. In this toxicity study, they actually gave Wistar rats water, that's the control group, olive oil, that's a semi-control group, and then olive oil with the ESS60 molecule. Instead of being toxic, the test subjects that they gave this molecule to lived 90% longer than the control group. So that's the single longest longevity experimental result on mammals in history. It's peer-reviewed published research. That's a whole mouthful. And I'm super proud to share that our lab provided the material and our lab is mentioned in that original study. And I'll share one last kind of thing. Our most consistent testimonial is that people take the product in the morning, they report mental focus and energy during the day, and then better sleep that night.
Okay, so in the effort to be fully transparent, you guys sent me this bottle right here, and you asked me to take it for a week. Now, I'm going to give you my full and honest feedback a little bit later. But when I found out, because we've had you guys on the show before, and this is the result of the last time you guys were here. This is the C60 Evo Advanced Facial Serum with ESS60. Now,
that looks a little empty.
Yeah, it is. It is empty for sure. And, I'm on camera every day. First thing I did was I showed this to my wife and I'm like, honey, I think you might like this advanced facial serum. She's always applying things. And then I stole it from her and I started taking it and I loved it so much. I could tell a difference just from that. But then, I didn't take the internal stuff back then. But you guys sent me this. And I'm going to give you my full feedback. But when I saw extra virgin olive oil, I was like, come on, let's go. Come on, how much? Put olive oil on everything. All right. And if it's olive oil, it's going to make me live longer, why not? What have I got to lose? I don't have anything to lose. So I was quite excited when I found out that, I could take this, I could ingest this, well, maybe double my lifespan. So maybe I'll be 160. By the time, we can do an interview, in 100 years, and we'll be talking about this stuff. Patty, you barely survived two near-death experiences after exposing hidden truths. What happened when the industry was infiltrated, and how did ESS60 save your life?
Ooh, that's a loaded question. I used to tour with the greats of ufology, Stanton Friedman, Robert O'Dean, Jim Mars.
Wow.
People that were really the real deal, in my opinion. Paul Hellyer, and all of them wrote me beautiful testimonials about my films. And I was a speaker, they were speakers. And then all of a sudden, they started passing away in a very short period of time. I don't think Paul might still be with us in his mid 90s, but Yeah, everybody else kind of left, and then the industry changed. And I used to call it the field of ufology, then it became the industry. My intention is to help humanity, and now I'm old. I mean, I'm no longer like out to win awards and make movies because I did that, been there. But what I found was that I was working with the real scientist in the crop circle world, which is William Levengood. He's the only one that proved that they were real. And I took it right to the top and I exposed it in my final film. When I learned about the ESS 60, which is the higher version of C60, carbon 60 fullerenes, I realized that they were all the good stuff was coming from one lab in Houston, Texas. And when I contacted Chris, he knew all about me because I was raving about it on the internet, but I didn't have a company that was like we do now. So Chris and I co-founded with Robert the C60 Evo, and we brought to the public the evolution of the industry because everybody else is selling industrial grade C60, probably from China, and we don't know where else. But we have it in Houston, Texas, both versions. We sell industrial for tires, ink, batteries, but we won't sell it for people and pets. So we sell the good stuff, which Chris and Robert came up with after realizing in 2012 that our product was getting rave reviews and peer-reviewed reports prove that lab rats were living 90% longer that took our product, which is the longest longevity results in history. Not only that, but they died without any tumors for the first time in lab rat history. So they weren't using anybody else's product. They were using ESS 60 from C60 Evo. And Chris and Robert, my partners, realized this product is incredible for people. And then we started delivering 3 flavors of oils and all kinds of other products because there's nothing we've put in that it doesn't help. The skin, the face, I can't name diseases because we're not allowed to, but our testimonials have shown us that it improves life for all kinds of people dealing with all kinds of products or maladies. And mine was probably really extreme. The uranium poisoning, I mean, who survives that? But I did because of the C60 Evo, and I've taken it every day for the last 6 years. And I'm really proud that I'm part of the company delivering what we call the good stuff, ESS 60.
Amen. Well, that's an amazing testimonial. And Chris, you know about the science behind all of this stuff, and maybe you can help because she mentioned the different flavors. Because I have an avocado here, avocado oil, which I use in cooking all the time. You have your extra virgin olive oil, and then you have your MCT oil, which is a coconut oil, which I use in my smoothies when I make a special coffee or something like that. Tell us a little bit about the science and even the NASA research behind ESS 60. She mentioned there's 2 different types. There's the ESS and then there's the C, because I'm looking at the facial serum and the facial serum shows me, this is C60 Evo, advanced facial serum with ESS 60. So help me break down. You're the scientist. Break it down for me.
Yeah. So, we mentioned the scientists discovered it in 1985. The 3 scientists who discovered it actually won the Nobel Prize in 1996. So a short 11 years from discovery to being awarded the Nobel Prize. The reason that they won the Nobel Prize is because this molecule is fantastic. The way I describe it is it performs as well or better than the current best material in almost every application. So it makes better inks, better batteries, better tires, better photocells. That's where people start to get nervous, and that's why we really break into 2 distinct types. Carbon 60, C60 is for industrial applications like ink, batteries, tires, and photocells. And there's peer-reviewed published research that proves if you improperly process it, it's harmful. ESS 60 is C60 that's been processed for people and pets. Just a couple fantastic things about this molecule in the industrial space. These are amazing. The molecule actually has 6-fold symmetry So there's 6 planes through this molecule that are symmetric. That gives it amazing resilience. So you can actually fire this molecule at a plate of steel at 15,000 miles an hour. And instead of shredding apart, like most molecules will shred apart, I kind of picture the molecule like compressing, the ball pressing and then bouncing back. It actually just bounces back. So it is absolutely amazing in industrial applications. And remember that study where the test subjects lived 90% longer than the control group, it was supposed to be a toxicity study, right? So they were convinced the molecule would be toxic. They put it in this study, and then the rats lived 90% longer than the control group. And I want to touch on this because Patty mentioned it. So a typical Wistar rat lives 32 months and has a known amount of tumor mass in its body. The longer it lives, the more tumor mass it has in its body. Even though the C60 Evo rats lived out to 62 months, so 90% longer, none of them have any tumors. Now, I've told that story to some people, and they've said, cure for cancer. And I've said, no. And then I followed up that with another, no. Hey, there's a really big difference between dealing with a cancer that has metastasized and actually being a cancer preventative. We know things as simple as good nutrition, good exercise, good sleep are cancer preventatives. That piece of that study throws this particular molecule into the realm of being a cancer preventative. But I do want to share one extra thing, and this is pretty fantastic. So there's a study, it's a Petri dish study. So this is kind of the lowest level of scientific study that you can have, because taking something from a Petri dish actually into a living being, whether it's a rat or a dog or a pig or a human, is very different. In this study, they had cancer cells and healthy cells, and they introduced an anti-cancer agent, which is a poison, right? You're trying to poison the cancer before you poison the healthy cells. In the presence of the ESS60 molecule, there was increased efficacy against the cancer cells and protective effects on the healthy cells. So that means more cancer cells died in the presence of the ESS60 molecule, and fewer healthy cells died in the presence of that ESS60 molecule. So there's some pretty profound things going on. We believe that they're happening at the level of the mitochondria. Let me just touch on that real quick. A lot of supplements are really proud, and they should be, that their supplements work on the cellular level. And that's great. And you want that instead of just in your gut or just on your skin. You want it at the cellular level. We talk about our supplement impacting you at the subcellular level, at the level of the mitochondria. That's the powerhouse of every cell. And we've got a theory around that, but I don't want to take this, entirely down a scientific path.
Well, the studies show mammals living twice as long, okay? ESS60. Why isn't this front page news? I mean, who actually benefits from suppressing this?
Oh, well, I think there's a couple, fairly obvious answers. If everybody's living twice as long, a lot of the community believes that that's not a good thing. I actually sit on the other side of that fence. That probably wouldn't surprise you. There currently isn't the ability to put any IP, intellectual property, so you can't patent it. Those opportunities have already passed in terms of time frame. So there's no real big incentive for big pharma to come in and say, hey, we could push this forward. We could make a ton of money. No, because you're going to have generics on day 2. And so really, I think those are kind of some of the bigger concerns and some of the bigger reasons that you haven't heard, that it's not front page news.
Yeah. Well, if we all live longer, they can sell us more garbage, right? See, I mean, that seems like common sense to me, but it does make sense that if they can't patent this, then of course they're not going to go ahead and try to put it out there and promote it and lock it down like we see them when they modify other things. Like you mentioned GMOs earlier, they patent these crops and they do these things, and then, they become their own strain and they control it completely. Modified. It's a genetically modified thing. Yeah. But this is different. So now you mentioned vitamin C before, 170 times more powerful as an antioxidant. So go back to the cellular level. I mean, I want to know like this life extension thing. But I also want our viewers to know, because I failed to do this earlier, but there is a special that you are offering at your website right now. You can get 10% off using coupon code NNN at checkout. This is only for Next News viewers. And the link is c60evo.com/NNN. I want to make sure all of our viewers can go and take advantage of this. And then you guys quiz me. I want Patty, I want Chris, I want you guys to quiz me on what this did for me. But just go into the life extension part of it.
Yeah. I'll real quick, because I think there's two things that are worth sharing. The first one is my goal as the chief scientist, as we kind of transitioned into a supplement company, which we really didn't want to. I mean, we were very happy being, selling carbon nanomaterials to research institutions around the world. The thought of getting into the supplement market, which I would think is fair to say is a challenged market. Like, there's challenges in that market. We didn't really want to go down that path, but then Patty opened her mouth, and then our phone started ringing 10 times a day. And then we decided that this is something that we really needed to do, and actually partnered with Patty. So one of my roles was, what is going on here? Why did these rats live longer? And the medical community tends to think about aging as an oxidation and an inflammation process. And so we have to be really careful about inflammation, but oxidation, you mentioned 172 times more powerful than vitamin C. That's an ad hoc on the web study. There's peer-reviewed published research that shows us to be 125 times more powerful than vitamin C. So there's a big old check mark on that checkbox. When it comes to inflammation, we have to be really careful, because the FDA has equated conversations of inflammation, chronic inflammation, with the diseases of inflammation, which are also the diseases of aging. And that is arthritis, Alzheimer's disease, cardiovascular disease, cancers, like these horrible diseases. And so if I come on your show and I say, hey, we address chronic inflammation, the FDA hears me claiming that we cure cancer, cure arthritis, cure cardiovascular disease. Obviously, we're not doing that. There's so much more research, and really expensive research, that would need to happen in order for us to claim that. What the FDA will allow us to talk about and to claim is that we address inflammation, at least as it relates to exercise-induced inflammation. So we've all had a tough workout, or maybe just walked longer than we normally do, and woken up that next day and felt that inflammation in our body. We absolutely are able to say that we address that. So that's kind of the longevity. We've got we're in Texas, so I'm in Texas, two big old check marks on those two boxes, right? The next concept, and I'm not going to get too much in the details, I just want to kind of explain it this way. We know from peer-reviewed published research that this ESS60 molecule gets into the mitochondria. We also know from way back in the 90s that this molecule can hold up to 6 negatively charged particles on the exterior of this cage. And what that looks like is, in your mitochondria, the powerhouse of every cell, you have a negative byproduct. Just like your car going down the road has exhaust, just like a power plant has a smokestack with smoke coming out of it, your mitochondria have reactive oxygen species. These are often negatively charged particles. I kind of picture them like little bumper cars. Everything that they're bumping into, they're rusting. They're causing oxidative stress, oxidative damage. And internal to the mitochondria, you actually have two antioxidants to manage those reactive oxygen species, and that's glutathione and melatonin. But what happens when you stress a mitochondria? The first question is, how do you stress a mitochondria? I like to joke, you live in modern society, right? Like the stress of traffic, the extra EMF you get in a plane flight, smog, smoking, drinking, tough conversations, right? Those stressful conversations will stress your mitochondria. And now it's producing more reactive oxygen species than the resident glutathione and melatonin can manage. And that's when this ESS60 molecule shines. Again, we know from peer-reviewed published research it's in the mitochondria. So
let me, if I could just jump in real quick, because you mentioned glutathione, you mentioned melatonin. Those are two of my favorite supplements. So this will actually assist with that, because I mean, I take glutathione. I'll have an IV, doctor come, or a nurse come out, and then I'll get like maximum vitamin therapy and maximum glutathione therapy, and all these things. I take melatonin to sleep. So will this help enhance that?
Well, one, very smart.
Or it'll help supplement its function.
Yeah, so I'll give you an analogy that I think will really help. But glutathione, the master antioxidant, absolutely amazing, smart to be doing those drips. And then you think about melatonin. It's really interesting because remember, our most consistent testimonial is people take it in the morning, they report mental focus and energy during the day, and then better sleep that night. Melatonin, the sleep hormone, you're like it's all interacting here in the mitochondria. There's a lot of really good parallels here. The way that an analogy that I have that I can think can bring this home is stress is actually good for us, right? Like if we don't experience stress, we turn into these amoeba blobs. And right, think about astronauts going out into space. When they come back, their bone density is diminished, their immune system is diminished. Like this is just from the lack of stress.
They have to be carried out. They have to be carried out of their capsules.
Yeah, yeah. And somebody's lifting their thumb for them for the for the thumbs up. So
Yeah.
they're dumpster fires because of the fact that they're existing in a place where they have less stress, right? So stress is good for us. So I like to picture us kind of physiologically like a prairie with prairie flowers and grasses flowing around. And stress, good stress, is the rain that comes onto that prairie and applies that good stress. But what happens when you really stress it, right? When you have this deep, dark cloud that's pouring rain down like a faucet in one spot, you're going to do damage to that prairie. And that's where we picture this ESS60 molecule between that deep, dark cloud and the prairie acting, I like to picture it like a sponge holding on to that water so it doesn't do any damage. Now, it is important to note, if you don't fix that deep, dark cloud, eventually the sponge fills up, it starts pouring on the prairie and doing that damage. Once that deep, dark cloud is gone, then you can squeeze this sponge gently across the prairie, having never experienced that damage in the first place. And we have some powerful testimonials. One is from a two-time U.S. ultra running champion. The guy runs 200 miles a week when he's training, and he talks about how this molecule he believes prevents damage in the first place, not speeding up exercise recovery, but preventing damage. And if you want to think who's got a deep dark cloud over their prairie pouring a stream of water, it's the guy who's running 200 miles a week, and this is actually mitigating that damage in the run. His is actually the reason he believes it prevents damage is on the last 5 miles of a 50-mile run. By the way, a phrase you will never hear again. You're not even really hearing it from me. But on the last 5 miles of a 50-mile run, where strength and stability used to be a problem, they're no longer a problem. So that's how I think, what is it? The responsible antioxidants are glutathione and melatonin to manage that stress. But your body store those. That's why you go do an IV, and that's good for some period of time. But if you stress yourself out again, you've got to go back for another IV because your body doesn't store these. So when it's overwhelmed, this ESS60 molecule stores that stress until your body can get back to homeostasis, replenish that glutathione, replenish that melatonin, so then they can manage that stress. And what this ultimately turns out into, like if you're reducing the negative impact of stressed mitochondria, you should have head-to-toe testimonials about every system, about every cell in your body. And we absolutely have head-to-toe testimonials.
Well, I take these IV drips. I try to do at least once a month. Right after I'm done, I feel amazing, but it does wear off. So if this could help sustain that, I'm all for it. And I want to pivot to Patty because you talked about bringing this to market. You both face opposition. Patty, what forces were trying to stop you guys, and why?
I don't really feel like anything is stopping us. We just have lousy, what looks like competition, selling stuff that's not good. And when other companies are selling industrial grade to people and pets, it hurts the industry. But if they don't have a real lab and they don't know the difference between industrial grade for tires and ink and ESS60 for people and pets, we're dealing with a lot of people that just don't know what they're doing. And I mean, we've seen companies that are selling nano onions and charcoal, and they're calling it supercharged. And I just screenshot, send it to the guys at the lab, and they send me LOL. Really? So, that's really what we're dealing with is it's kind of like when I was in the UFO field. and it turned into the UFO industry. They're kind of trying to make it an industry, the C60 industry, by selling industrial grade stuff that should not be sold to people in pets.
So what's the difference between industrial and human consumption and pet grade?
Well, the pet and the human is the same. And we actually have the same marvelous product, which you have on the screen right there, the C60 Evo Organic Olive Oil. It's cold pressed, it's extra virgin, and all of our olive oil is the real deal from Tunisia. You know, when we talk about, we're only going to talk about the good stuff. We have fabulous organic oils and ESS 60 made in our lab in Houston, Texas. The thing that I want to speak about, we can't say the inflam word, but I can say I feel like lubrication is what this did for me. And when I started taking it, it was my hips got blasted out. And I lasted 5 years bone on bone. Probably bone
My
on bone
goodness.
badly 2 years. But when I finally had to give in a year and a half ago, the first surgeon looked at my x-rays and looked at me and thought, how are you even functioning? And he had no bedside manner. So I was like, yeah, thanks. So I auditioned number two. And he looks at my x-rays and talked to me. And then he said, I'll be right back. And he came in with two other doctors and a stenographer. And they said, we've never seen anybody like you. And I didn't know if they were talking about, they recognized me from crop circle films or what. But they said, you're not mentally ill, which you have to be to tolerate this level of pain bone on bone. And I said, well, I'm definitely not mentally ill. I run a big company. And they said, and you're not drugged out. You're not on pain meds, or you wouldn't be functioning like this. And I said, you're right. I'm not on any drugs. I'm on C60 Evo. And of course, I always have a small bottle in my purse, and I pull it out and they're like, yeah, no, we don't want. And I said, well, this is
So
how
which do you prefer, the olive oil or the avocado, or do you prefer the organic MCT? Is there your personal preference?
my personal is the olive oil is the strongest. When I need a big boost for the day, I'm going to take a spoonful of olive oil. Now, we recommend a teaspoon, but if you want a giant boost, take a tablespoon and you're laughing in an hour.
Now
It is so
I'm showing
potent.
these
I wake
these
up
are
and roll to the kitchen because I sleep really deep, and I like to make morning coffee, and I do it like a feast. But I always use in my morning coffee, and that way I never forget to take it. So the MCT is fabulous in coffee, but all three of them are best on a spoon so that you don't have to lick the plate, don't have to lick the bowl if you put it on a salad, because you don't want to miss any of the benefits of the formula. But I finally found doctor number three, and he was everything I could have wanted. And I flew through two surgeries. The first one was amazing. And I called him 5 days later and I said, when are the pain meds going to wear off? And they said, 2 hours after surgery. And I said, I'm on day 5. I still have no pain. And they're like, wow, we've only heard that a few times. And so they booked me 9 weeks later to get the other hip done. And I wasn't scared because I'd already gone through it. And I remember every ounce of the huge room. I remember the people, their names. The Evo has got me an Evo brain where I remember everything these days. But the second surgery went swimmingly well. And I amazed them all. I amazed the doctors. I amazed my dermatologist. She's like, how are your scars healing this fast? And of course, I got my bottle in my purse. Can I give you a sample? And she said, oh, I can't. Really? Really? You guys don't do breakthrough anything. And when people haven't heard of us, it's kind of like 15 years ago when they didn't hear about CBD. And when they heard CBD, they're like, oh, marijuana, and it's like, no, different plant, different purpose. And it's actually, I still take CBD when I have pain, which is pretty rare these days
does this
because,
have you mentioned scars and stitches and such. Does this have topical application?
Well,
well,
yeah.
we have a body cream and we have a face serum. What were you going to say, Chris? The
Well, yeah,
face
the
serum
face
you went
serum is
for?
the one that you're in love with.
Right.
We have to be really careful with what we talk about, like wound healing, etc. So we can't really talk about that. But we do have absolutely amazing testimonials.
Right. I mean, when I
Well, I
say
stand
topical
up and
application,
show you.
that's what I was referring to
Yeah.
specifically. You can't speak to it, but yes, I do, or have used all of my topical
We'll get you
application
some
here.
more.
We're coming. Yeah, mine is halfway down, and I'm on a little trip. So I'm traveling small, and I'm like, what do I absolutely need on my trip? And it's so easy because I don't use other products anymore. I used to have all these creams and body lotions, and then we made one, Au Natural, with tangerine essence. Have you tried this yet?
I don't think I have that one. No.
Oh, I'm going to have to put this on your grocery list. This is tangerine scented ES60. Oh my God, it's so good. I keep missing the camera.
Here,
We're like
I'll bring you
backwards
up.
and upside down. It's okay. This we actually are the only lab probably making carbon fullerene products that goes the full month of testing everything for stability. But we made this beautiful formula, and we tested it, and sure enough, it was ready to go to market. And I got the sample, and I'm like, ooh, I don't love the smell. And the other guy in the lab said, oh, I don't like this. So anyway, I sent it back to the formulator, and she said, Patty, 4 more months. You're going to lose Christmas. And I said, I don't like the smell. And it's got to be so good that people want it again and again. So I waited 4 more, missed Christmas 2 years ago, to put this product out. And, or maybe it was last year, but now we have it, C60 Evo, rich body cream with tangerine. And everybody talks about the scent being absolutely incredible. I work with an aromatherapy person so that it's not just arbitrary. We go, oh, that smells nice. The thing about tangerine and citrus scents, which is in our formula, is that it makes people happy. So when you put it on in the morning, you put it on at night, oh, you smell good, and your skin actually improves. This facial serum finished with rosemary oil. The reason for that is it takes your dreams into a higher frequency. Again, a little woo woo for some people, but I work with a formulator that's written 20 something books. And I trust that when I take a hike with her in the forest, which I've done, there's no plant that you can't eat, drink, smoke, boil the root, or something to heal with. She's that knowledgeable. The formula is absolutely fabulous. It's got a base of chia seed oil, which I don't think any other face formula has. But I personally rode a Harley 50,000 miles in 10 years, and my skin was pretty rough when I met Chris. And now I feel like butter skin. And I've seen all the guys at the lab that were like, skin formula, we're a bunch of guys, and all of a sudden now they're all using it. They're looking really young. And
No, I mean, I just turned 48. I'm on camera, and I use it. I'm not ashamed to say so. I mean, I want to look my best for my viewers.
Well, you do. You look fabulous. I just
Thank
turned
you.
72. My
What?
mom, yeah, my mom is 96, and she's frickin' cooking. Like everybody is dying around
No,
her,
you don't look 72 at all. So
and with 2 attempts. Yeah, I mean, the stuff is so darn good. And owning the company, I can take a tablespoon anytime I want, owning. But I wouldn't be taking it if it didn't make a difference because our body is a temple. And I think by my
amen.
age and by your age, we realize that everything we put in is our choice. And if we
Hmm.
don't choose carefully, we're going to poison ourselves like the system has encouraged us to do all these years. And I looked at all your thumbnails of your last 10 shows. How are we surviving all this? But what I would say to everyone
Yeah.
is congratulations, because we made it to the other side.
Yeah.
Now I honestly feel like we are in the huge exposure and the cleanup phase. And it is hard and painful and ugly. But if you keep your brain on your necks nice and even with Evo, you're going to do a whole lot better. And people have asked me, how are you doing with all the stress in your world? And all I can say is, I take this product every day. I don't feel that much stress. And we hear that from a lot of people, like we can go a lot longer before we, get all moody. So it's a preventative more than something to take after the race when you're hurting. We are finding that athletes, when they know better and they take double the Evo before the race, before a hard workout, before whatever you're going to do with your kids where you want to impress them. Dad can keep up or mom can keep up. Double up on your Evoc. It's the easiest thing. You
Double up.
put it on a spoon, put it in your mouth, cooking all day.
Gary, I want to hear what your experience has been, right? Because it's clearly had, like, you're comfortable and you've used all the face product, but now you're taking it. Like, what's the experience like for you?
Okay, so I sent you guys some emails because I want to make sure I got the dosing correctly, and then I had the liquid bottle, which, I mean, the minute I open it up, I'm like, oh yeah, oh, I love it. I just olive oil, I want to dip my bread in it, and put some Parmesan or something like that. But to know there's a secret ingredient in here, just takes it to the next level. But then, like you said, I don't want to leave any on the plate, right? Because there's some valuable stuff in here. So, yes, I have not taken this, not yet, but that's why I emailed you guys and I asked about the capsules. Because I'm a guy, I'm constantly moving, sometimes I don't have time to just like pour a little thing on a spoon and I got to take it and I spill a drop and I freak out. I'm like, and I recognize the value, that's being provided here. So like, I don't like to waste anything. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to take these. I'm going to find out if these capsules are the same. I emailed you guys. You said they're exactly the same. You can take 6. You can take 12. I opted to take the lesser because your specific instruction said, take before noon if you don't want to have too much energy. And I said, well, I'm a pretty high energy guy to begin with. I'm always drinking caffeine and my wife's always yelling at me for it. God bless her. I love her. But I said, okay, I'm gonna start with this. I'm gonna start with the 6, and I gotta say, within about 48 hours, like I was sitting in my kitchen, I'm like, man, you know what? I actually could feel a difference. Like sometimes you wonder if it's like, is this me thinking it, or is this something actually happening? I actually did feel a clarity and an energy level like that was sustained, like throughout the day, and I was like, I love this stuff, and now I'm like, okay, because your instructions were like, don't take, try not to take it, after noon. So I start going, I'm looking at my clock. I'm like, man, I got to take this right. It's almost noon. I got to take this. Like, I don't want to be like, pushing myself too much. But then what Patty just said about your kids, and doubling up, I'm like, man, sometimes I'm with my kids and I got young boys. And they are just bouncing off the walls all day long. Dad, do this. Dad, do this. And I find myself, I'm 48 now. I don't move as fast as I used to. And I'm back in the gym. And this is also good because I'm learning about the inflammation aspect of it, the preventative aspect of it, the recovery aspect of it. So these are all things that are very important to me because I want to revitalize my health. A couple of years ago, I was in the gym. I had lost 80 pounds. Our channel was demonetized during the hell that was the 4 years of the Biden administration with censorship and the amount of stress that I endured. We had to fire our entire crew. It was just down to me and my main producer. And, I was putting 15-hour days. I stopped going to the gym and my health completely deteriorated. I'm back on this health kick and I want to get it right. So finding a supplement like this, one, olive oil, just the benefits of olive oil alone are amazing. The studies out there, I'm Italian and Irish. My wife is Greek. So olive oil is like the staple. Like when there's no olive oil in the house, like, people freak out. Like it's a serious thing. So knowing that I have an olive oil product that I could take that's going to help me with my energy and my clarity is like life changing. And then on the top of it, the life extension aspect of it, I'm like, man, I need to get more of this. Like I want more. I want to keep taking it. But then also like I mentioned before, because I'm out of this, is the advanced facial serum. Like what it does to my skin. Man, it like glows and people see it and it looks, and I get compliments and my wife's like, wow, she always says, Gary, you have the best skin. All right. And she is very, she's very conscious about what she puts on her body. Like she's very, very strict about it. So and she doesn't mess around with any garbage. Okay, but when she's like, oh, olive oil, well, that, olive oil, put olive oil on it, right? Like Windex, right? Put olive oil, and so and then with the ES60 molecule with its additional benefits, like I ended up stealing this. I gave this to my wife. I'm like, here, honey, look, I got you this. One of our sponsors sent this to us. And I think you're really gonna like it. And then she started taking it, and then I'm like, oh, man, I want to try it, And then I tried it, and I took it from her. So I owe my wife a bottle, but no, I right off the bat, within 48 hours of taking it, I had mental clarity, I had more energy, and I'm worried about losing. I'm worried about running out. That's what I'm actually more worried about. But so if I double up on this, and these are only like. When you said 6, I'm used to seeing like the tiny little little fish oil tablets, the little ones, but these are actually large. So I was a little shocked when I saw the size, but I'm a guy that I can take 6 of these things with a little bit of water and they go down like nothing. So I wasn't afraid. I don't think anyone will have any worry with taking these. But I could take 12 of these, and I'm interested to see what happens when I do. To kind of like just take it up the next level. I always, my wife, she's always on my case. She's always like, you always, whenever you do something, you take it to 11. You go to 15 with it, Well, maybe it's 12 and see what happens. So I'm happy. I want more. And I think our viewers will find a great benefit like I did. And that's why the link's in the description. That's why we want people to try it for themselves. And, you won't know until you try. I mean, the benefits themselves that we've learned, like, speak for themselves. So what have you got to lose, right? That's my testimony to you guys.
Love it. Love it. It is wonderful when you've got a product that you can actually feel the difference quickly. I have a whole counter full of supplements from years of buying. I don't feel any of them. This I feel, and now all those supplements are kind of just getting old. My facial serums, I can't pronounce the words. I don't need it. Why would I when I can use this? All natural and clean. And when I presented this to the guys at the lab, their first reaction was, we're a bunch of guys. We don't do facial serums. And then Chris finally approved it. All of a sudden now he looks a lot younger than 80. I think he really looks better. And, but all the guys are using it now and they're really loving it. And Chris calls me a year later and he goes, you want to tell him what you showed a minute ago that I don't have here?
Yeah, this is my favorite and part of the reason I'm going to get a little excited. So we actually have a 2-parter. So shortly after we came to this market, and Patty's right, when she was like, hey, we need to come out with a face serum. It's like, yay, a face serum, just like I always wanted to do. As soon as we came out and we got great testimonials for the face serum, my director of research came to me and said, hey, I found this peptide. It's got 30 years of skin and hair improvements behind it and peer-reviewed published research. You should go check out the research. So I did, and I'm like, okay, now we got to make a product with this. The peptide, we call it UTH29, stands for Youth 29. Apparently the age all women want to stop aging at, exactly 29. That's been confirmed by a lot of conversations I've had. And the peptide is water soluble, and then our activator is oil soluble. Now you can shove these things together with an emulsifier, but I don't like what an emulsifier sounds like. If you Google it, there's no health benefits. In fact, it's the opposite. And so we decided to keep them separate. And this is how this works. You take this is what I use every single morning, 2 squirts of the UTH 29 lotion, and then 2 drops per squirt. So that's going to be a total of 4 drops if I can coordinate that. I think I got a little bit more, but that's all right. And you can also adjust this. We haven't really had anybody say they make the adjustment, but for maybe a drier or a more oily skin. And then you just take this, you mix it, you're activating it right in your hand. And then you put it on all the places that you're concerned about aging, right? So I'll put some on the back of my hands, a little here on my neck, under the eyes. And this is what I use every day. Smells amazing. It's got the scent of damask rose. I never was interested in being in the face serum business, but I am excited about this particular product.
And not only that, but I will tell you, that we also have a lip balm. Talk about winning.
A lip
I
balm.
didn't, I didn't even have to beg for this. The guys are like, you know what? Every product we put out is selling like crazy, and testimonials are great. So they didn't even quiz me. We have ESS 60 infused mint lip balm that is over the top. So good. You put it on your lips, and it feels like menthol, that kind of warm, tingly flavor, and it lasts forever. And it tastes like spearmint, which it is. And again, it's got the ESS 60 in it. So your lips are having wonderful benefits while it lasts and keeps your lips super moist. So head to toe, pretty much, with products. Chris also got carried away with the UTH 29 for the face. We also have one for the hair because of the thing we lived through, and people lost a lot of hair. So the peptide product, the UTH 29, blended with the E60 oil. We do, fresh palm in your activate fresh because we didn't want to put all the chemicals in, and then you can do it on your head. And I lost a lot of hair when I got that flu thing, and it was the first time I've ever lost hair. And I called Chris, and he goes, "We're already on it." And I was like, "What?" And they sent me a sample, and 3 weeks later, I haven't lost a hair since. I
Wow.
mean, my brush is like starving. So it worked. And basically, the molecule is found in nature, but not enough. And thank God for their lab and the fact that in college, Chris and Robert were told by their professor, if you can figure out how to make C60, carbon 60 fullerenes, at the heat of the sun, it's worth more than gold per ounce. And they got on it. Thank God. 1991, Chris and Robert opened the lab. They even created the machine that burns these graphite rods at the heat of the sun in their lab. I visited the lab once. They opened the door. I mean, I had to be interviewed 2 days before I got into the lab. But they did fly me there, but they had to trust me first, and they knew they could. So they took me in the lab, which was, I don't know, 150 degrees.
Oh
Everything
my.
is enormous. I'd never seen anything like it. The lab is a dream come true for any scientist, and they keep it super clean. And I'm just so proud. We've got a
I
shipping
would love
department.
to see that. I would love to go to that lab.
So
Yeah,
good.
it's amazing. You're welcome to come.
Oh wow. This
Houston.
is great. So before we wrap, I want to ask you guys, okay, because I've got this serum here, the facial serum, and it admittedly lasted me quite a long time. It really did. I think I just recently ran out of it. But how much should somebody buy if they're going to buy the product? Like for me, it's the capsules. For another person, it might be the avocado or the MCT or the olive oil directly. How much do you recommend them purchasing? How much should they take? Should they do it every day? Let's get a straight dosing regimen for the average person, and so they know how much to get.
So
Because I see you have a lot of packages here.
I'll jump in real quick. And let me first share my routine. So I do kind of a bulletproof coffee thing. A bulletproof coffee is a high quality coffee, some ghee and some MCT. I take the ghee out. I actually don't like the flavor that much. And also it's a lot of calories. So I put about 1.5 teaspoons of the MCT in my coffee. That's blending. That's oil and water. So that's blending to mix. And while that's blending, I'm taking 1.5 teaspoons of our olive oil product. That's my daily routine. When I have busy days, like coming onto the show, we'll do an extra shot just to keep the energy going through the day. And like I said, I don't really have, and honestly, 97 to 98% of our clients don't have any issue taking it later in the day and them keeping them up. It is just reported in, like I said, 2 to 3% of the cases. So feel free to play around with that. When people ask us what should they take, we always recommend the olive oil product for 2 reasons. The first is we are a science-based organization, and almost all of the research is on the ESS60 molecule in olive oil. So that's the main reason, or one of the reasons. The next reason is because you have the higher concentration of the ESS60 molecule in olive oil. You actually have about 0.8 milligrams per milliliter in olive oil, 0.6 in avocado oil, and then 0.3 in MCT oil. And then Patty may have some stuff to add to that.
Yeah. So what you're seeing, well, there's a good shot of a lot of our best products right there. The three oils come in what we call the sampler set. And I recommend that for everyone because then you can try all three oils. And we do it in 2-ounce, 4-ounce, 8-ounce bottles, depending on how hardcore you want to go. But we always recommend that people do the edible plus the skin serum for immediate noticeability. So grab a bottle of the C60 Evo olive oil and the advanced facial serum, and we put them together. It's called the starter set, 4-ounce or 8-ounce olive bottle. But that's what I recommend for people to be instantly delighted by is the edible and the facial, because you're saying that your skin is really improved. I think it's also because you're taking it on the inside that we see it on the outside. Because a lot of people that haven't even tried the skin serums are writing us and saying, my skin and hair and nails are so much better. This is our body cream with the tangerine that smells like heaven. And most of the testimonials say, I just want to take a bath in it. I mean, really delightful. So we offer all these combination sets and we take 15% off each item. We recommend anybody that try any of our products start by signing up for a monthly subscription. You'll save 20%. So any price that you see, you'll also see right below it the 20% less price, and that's on subscription, and you can cancel it anytime. Our customer service are the nicest people. They don't even ask questions, but they will talk your ear off if you ask them things that you want to hear. So yeah, that
Well,
there.
plus, I need to point out that our viewers today, there is a special exclusive Next News viewers that they can get 10% off using code Next News, coupon code Next News at checkout. So I want to make sure everybody realizes that, and that link will be in the description.
Yeah, not Next News. It's use the code
I'm sorry.
NN.
Pardon me. NNN.
That's okay. Yeah.
Yes. Coupon code NNN.
So the biggest discount for people that want to get serious and share with their family and friends, we offer, the bundled sets is anything 2 or more items. We take 15% off. Subscriptions are 20% off. And if you buy a case of 12, which we sell a lot of, they are 25% off. And then you use Gary's code, you're going to save 25 plus another 10% at checkout.
Wow.
You're going to be cooking. And we have all different size bottles of the oil, 2-ounce, 4-ounce, 8, 16, and 32, an enormous, wonderful bottle, which for people that have a work office with a lot of employees, you buy a 32-ounce bottle and you put it in your lunchroom with a bunch of spoons and one of the flyers next to it, you're going to get 20% more out of your staff, maybe. I say maybe. Because they're going to all have more energy. Great investment for company owners and, for anybody that's got a family they care about. My friend took the capsules that you took 6 of. She took 1. She calls me and she says, what did you give me, crack? And I said, what are you thinking about? How many did you take? She said 1. I said, what do you mean, crack? 1 is nowhere near enough. She said, Patty, I just cleaned my garage start to finish. Couldn't even stop. And I said, well, that's awesome. She goes, I never do this. She calls me 2 days later. She goes, what did you give me, crack? And what do you mean you're doing it again? She said, I cleaned my closet and my kitchen, like everything in the cabinet. She just went nuts. I said, 1? She goes, yeah. So basically, when people say, how much should I take? Everybody's different. Some people, that bottle that you have of 180 caps will last 180 days if they're like lightweight. But we recommend 6, and that's only a teaspoon. Even though they're good sized caps, 6 of them is a teaspoon. So personally, I like to take it on a spoon. Chris is in the lab, so he takes it on a beaker or in a beaker cup.
Medicine cup.
Well, one thing that I want to bring up here is I am in a calorie deficit right now. So calories are important to me, and a lot of people count calories. I'm constantly doing that. I'm scanning, everything I eat, keeping track of the macros. So I was a little worried that, okay, I know how much calories are in oil, right? Butter, oil, olive oil, all that stuff. But this was surprising. Only 40 calories for 6 soft gels. And because I was nervous because, I got to report to my trainer and I'm like, I got to tell him what I'm putting in my body, and everything has to have its specific purpose, right? So not only, the fact that the benefits with, recovery and prevention, but the fact that it's only 40 calories for 6 soft gels was delightful to find out.
And awesome olive oil that you love.
Yeah.
So I'm going to make sure and send you enough that your wife can also use the product and keep up with you, or else she's going to wonder what you did as she's trying to keep up.
Yeah.
It's only fair. So we always take good care of our influencers because you guys are the news. And I will tell your audience that we were booked 2 weeks ago, but you didn't have your products.
Mm.
And I actually, on the day of the show, we were really looking forward to the show with you. And I said, have you received the product? And you said, no, I haven't. And I very hesitantly said, we have to postpone the show because it
Yeah.
won't be authentic if you haven't been taking the products. Now, how many companies would do that? How many?
Actually, I've never had somebody do that. Never. We have a lot of sponsors that we interview, and I was like, what? Because, I wanted to make sure we could get your story out, and I had used the product. And that's the reason why this bottle is on my news desk, because I was prepared to do the interview, and I was prepared to give you my testimony on this. So I was ready to go full force. And then when you said, no, we're not going to do it, I'm like, okay, they're sending. And I'm thinking to myself, I hope they send me more of this stuff. But I opened the box and I'm like, where is it? I'm like, okay, well, it's not there, but this stuff looks interesting, So that's when I told you, go.
Good. Well, since you have the other 3 bottles, let your wife start hitting on whichever one she likes. And if she does morning coffee or tea, give her the MCT. It is so beyond delightful. And you do the hardcore olive oil. But if she's hardcore and she's Greek, give her the olive oil,
Oh, yeah.
I mean, really, you can't lose with any of the products. And the avocado oil is Roseanne Barr's favorite. She makes avocado toast with a little seasoned salts and stuff, and she swears by it. But then I say, you have to lick your plate, Roseanne.
Yeah, you got to lick your plate.
It's super nutty. I love the avocado oil. And it's got 0.6 milligrams per milliliters compared to 0.8. So it's almost as strong as the olive oil. So all 3 of them are winners. And if people want to try all 3, get the sampler set. But if you want to just really go hardcore, get a big bottle of olive oil and knock yourself out and have your friends go, what are you doing? You look different. A lot of people are saying that my friends and family are noticing the difference in me. And that's a good product, Well,
I think we can leave it right there. And I'm going to keep my eye open for my next care package from you guys because I want some more goodies. Okay. And I want to have you back, and maybe we can get my wife's testimony. I'm gonna talk to her about this. So, guys, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for supporting our work here at the Next News Network.
Thank you.
Thank you, Gary. Pleasure.
All right. Now, what Chris and Patty have revealed today, it should be headline news worldwide. But we're the news. We're making it headline news worldwide. A Nobel Prize-winning molecule that doubles mammalian lifespan. Research by NASA. Proven studies yet systematically suppressed by forces that profit from keeping you sick and dependent. Patty's near-death experiences and the infiltration of the truth movement show just how far they'll go to silence this discovery, but courage and science have prevailed. ESS60 isn't just another supplement, it's a fundamental breakthrough in human longevity that threatens trillion-dollar industries. So the choice is yours, really. You can accept the limitations that they've programmed you to believe or explore the breakthrough that could dull your healthy years. Now, they've risked everything to make this available despite opposition. So visit C60evo.com/NNN to learn more about ESS 60 and decide for yourself, because if they're trying this hard to hide it, imagine what it could do for you. I've already told you what it does for me.